Alright guys, welcome back to LJG Sports. Today we're going to do a tier list for the remaining teams left in the NBA playoffs. Now, I'm doing this for round 2. I already did a video prior to the playoffs starting. You can go check that one out to see where I had my teams and where it will be different in this video, even though I will let y'all know where I had these teams prior, at least the teams moving forward. So without further ado, I have this tier list only had the playoff teams total. So I obviously have all the teams that were eliminated in D tier, and then I kind of just have the remaining teams I'm gonna put in S, A, B, and C. And I'm doing this video prior to the Game 7 game between the Rockets and Warriors. I'm doing that because round 2 starts tomorrow before that game is over. So I wanted to get these predictions in before round 2 officially started. So here we go. The first team I have is the Cavaliers. Now, just for reference and for my predictions, I had the Cavs beating the Heat in 6 games. That was my prediction. I thought the Cavs would struggle sometimes against the Heat team that was playing well. But obviously that they ended up winning in 4. So I wasn't too off on that prediction. Most of these playoff predictions, you actually can tell I'm no more than like 2 games off. So like Cavs beat the Heat in 4. I chose them to beat them in 6. So it's only 1 or 2 games. And that's true with all my predictions. So I feel like I did pretty well there, considering. So that's what was my prediction for the Cavs in the first round. I had them in this time around for the tier list. I'm not going to put them in the S tier. I kind of try to put every team or try to split it up between the tiers. So I'm going to put the Cavs in A tier. I think they're one of the better teams, especially that performance against the Heat. I thought it was really impressive. So I think the Cavs can still make a push. I just don't think they're on that elite, which I'm leaving for like 2 teams right now. So there we go. And then next team I'm going to do is the Pacers, who the Cavs are facing. I predicted the Pacers to beat the Bucks in 7, excuse me. They ended up beating them in 5. Again, I was 2 games off. I did think the Pacers will struggle more against the Bucks. But Lillard going down, and just the Pacers overall being a much better team than the Bucks. I feel like I gave too much credit to the Bucks, and I was hoping, Kyle Kuzma wouldn't completely just disappear in the playoffs. So that also did not help, but I was only 2 games off. The Pacers, I'm going to put them in B tier. I think they're one step below the Cavs. I think Cavs are really good everywhere. I think the Pacers are really good everywhere. They have a very complete team, but I think the Cavs are just a little better. And because of that, I have the Cavaliers winning this series in 6. That is my prediction for this series. So going on to the next team, we're going to stick in the East, the Celtics. So Celtics, I think it's pretty easy. They're the defending champs. I had them in S tier last time. They're going to stay in S tier. I wouldn't say they look great against the Magic. Magic played really good defense on them. Maybe the Magic gave every other team kind of a blueprint on how to beat the Celtics with their defense. But I think Celtics would be just fine. They're the defending champs. I'm going to give them their respect until they're proven otherwise. I actually had the Celtics winning in 5, and they exactly won in 5. So that was spot on. Next, we have the Knicks. Now, the Knicks, I got some flack in my last video when I put them in S tier, because I truly think at their best, they're really good. This time around, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put them... I just realized what I did there. I'm going to put them in B tier. I don't think... I think my thoughts on them have gone a little down. I feel like I'm not as hyped on them as I was. The Knicks, I had them beating the Pistons in 4. I thought they were going to sweep them. The Pistons definitely proved me wrong. And honestly, the Pistons could have won Game 1. They should have won Game 1. They blew that lead. And then they should have won Game 5, honestly. With that 3-pointer at the end where they didn't call the foul. I thought it was clearly a foul. But it is what it is. or was that game 4? I'm not even sure. But I have the Knicks going down to B tier, mainly because they're going against the Celtics, and I just don't see them beating the Celtics. I think there's a world where they do, and I actually think this will be a really interesting series. I wanted this series last year. I wanted the two Gardens going against each other in the second round. We didn't get it, but we're getting it this year. If you're Boston, you do not want to be in a Game 6 in Madison Square Garden where that's going to be like the biggest game there in a very long time. That place is going to be rocking. If it gets to a Game 6, I think Knicks win that. I think there's no way they lose in Madison Square Garden in Game 6. And so I think it's going 7. I'm picking the Celtics to win in 7. I think it'll be a tightly contested matchup between these two. And I really hope for a good series there. Just a fun, entertaining series in TD and Madison Square Garden. But yeah, Knicks are dropping down to the B tier. Next, we have the Thunder. And I'm not going to be like everyone else and put them in S tier. I don't think the Thunder are just there yet. It's not necessarily because of their age. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust them. And again, it's not because of their age, but obviously against the Grizzlies, they really didn't have any real threat. Against the Grizzlies, they really didn't struggle. They should have lost 1 or 2 games, but Ja going out and the Grizzlies blowing a huge lead. The Thunder ended up sweeping them. I thought the Thunder would beat the Grizzlies in 5, so I was close there. I think Thunder are just below that tier. I think there's a team in the West who is even better than them, and so they'll come up in a little bit. But yeah, I just got Thunder in A. I think they're right there, but not quite yet. And then next team we have the Nuggets. I don't see the Nuggets doing much. I think they just beat the Clippers in 7. I was really high on the Clippers. The Clippers, for me, I feel like they should have beaten the Nuggets. If you watched Game 1 and you watched the first quarter and a half, you could see why the Clippers should have won this series. When they did what they're supposed to do on offense and their defense it's pretty good, they should have won that series. The pick and roll with Zubac and Harden worked, and then when the Nuggets adjusted, the Clippers just didn't seem to have answers for it. And it was just weird, especially in Game 7 if you watched it. The Clippers looked flat. They looked unmotivated. They looked they just looked lackadaisical. And it was just not a good showing. Got blown out. The score was even made it look closer than it was, and they lost by 20. So that's how bad it was for the Clippers. James Harden in Game 7, I think the whole narrative of him not showing up is kind of not his fault. He doesn't play that much worse in Game 7s, but he had a terrible game, going single digits in points. It was a bad game for the Clippers, and I think the Clippers had a better chance against the Thunder. I honestly, if the Clippers had done what they would have done, what I thought they would have done to the Nuggets, I would have had them in that S tier and beating the Thunder, but that didn't happen. But I think there's a lot of flaws on this Nuggets team. They rely a lot on Jokic and Murray. When they're not playing, there's not much they have going for them, especially on the offensive side. Thunder have a lot of weapons everywhere, and I think Thunder win this series in 5. I think it's going to be quick, especially since the Thunder have had this much time to rest and get prepared, while the Nuggets went to Game 7 against the Clippers. I actually had the Clippers winning that in 6, and so Nuggets ended up winning in 7. So again, I was only 2 games off. Clippers winning in 7, and then obviously Nuggets winning in 7. So, but yeah, I have Nuggets in the C tier. I don't think they're getting past OKC. If they do and they prove me wrong, then we'll see where I put them, obviously. But I don't think they have a chance really against the Thunder or anyone else in the West. Next team, we have the Timberwolves. To throw my prediction, my earlier prediction in round 1, I thought T-Wolves would beat them in 6. They ended up beating them in 5, so that was really good. I think the Timberwolves are the team to beat in the West, and I know it won't be that way narratively, especially if they go against the OKC Thunder. Thunder would definitely be the favorite, but I really like the Thunder team. I really like them. Good defense. They have 3 sixth men in Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, and even Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I really like their defense. I like Anthony Edwards. I even like Julius Randle on this team, maybe a little more than I like Cat on this team. I think just him and Ant, the 1-2 punch, works really well. And they dominated the Lakers. I thought they would beat them in 6. They even beat them worse than that. They beat them in 5. And a lot of people, I should say, were so hype on the Lakers. I was never hype on them, but they had LeBron and Luka, and the Timberwolves, just turned them down and shut them down instantly. So that's that. We have 2 teams left, and obviously there are other teams that are playing Game 7 tomorrow, but like I said, I need to get this video out. So just to quickly go over, I thought Golden State will win this series in 6. It's going to 7. Golden State should win, being that they had such a lead. They had the 3-1 lead, but we'll see if Houston pulls it out in H-Town. I think regardless of who moves on here, they're not beating the Timberwolves, and I actually have the Timberwolves beating. If it's the Warriors, I think they'll beat them in 6. If it's the Rockets, I think they beat them in 5. I think it's going to be light work for the Timberwolves. And for that reason, I'm going to have Houston in the D tier. There's no scenario in my mind where I see Houston beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's a chance they beat Golden State tomorrow. I don't think they will. But if they beat Golden State, they're going to go to Minnesota, who's rested, prepared. No way in hell the Rockets beat the Timberwolves in a 7-game series. You can bet your money on that. And if I end up looking like a fool and they do end up beating them, I will eat my own words. But that's like the most thing I'm confident in this whole prediction. No way in hell, if Rockets win tomorrow, they beat the Timberwolves in a 7-game series. So I consider them like eliminated in this instance because I think they're losing tomorrow, and I don't think they have a chance against Timberwolves. Warriors have a better chance against the Timberwolves, and the only reason I say that is because they have Stephen Curry. That's honestly the only reason. I think the way Steph moves and drags defense out, and he causes so much attention to guard him on the three-point line, it may cause some issues for the Timberwolves and how they play their defense. But I still, if they move on, I don't think they're beating the Timberwolves. I would pick the Timberwolves in 6. I could see it honestly going in 5. Because besides Curry, besides Butler, they have no one to do anything on offense. Defensively, they're pretty good. Draymond Green, for an undersized team, they're pretty good. But that's another thing. Timberwolves, man. Timberwolves are really a big team, especially with Gobert as their center and then Naz Reid as the backup. The Golden State Warriors have no one to guard either of them. Obviously, Gobert is not like a great offensive option, but he's something. He is a big physical presence, a 7-footer. And then Julius Randle, I don't think Green can guard Julius Randle all by himself, and that's really the only guy they have to defend either of those two. And then there's also Naz Reid. So that would be interesting. But yeah, this is my tier list for the remaining teams in the NBA playoffs. And then obviously also kind of my recap on my predictions and how I think the round 2 will go. So just to recap those, I have the Cavs beating the Pacers in 6. I have the Celtics beating the Knicks in 7. Hopefully the 2 Eastern Conference matchups are more entertaining than the first round because most of them, besides the Knicks and Pistons series, was kind of boring, in my opinion. And then in the West, I have Thunder beating the Nuggets in 5, and then Timberwolves beating whether it's the Rockets or the Warriors in 5 or 6. And then these are the tiers I have for the teams, and I will do this again after round 2 is over. Let me know what you think about this tier list. Let me know what you think about my predictions for round 2. Let me know who you would have in the S tier, in the A tier, B tier, C tier. Where do I have it right? Where do I have it wrong? Who am I overrating? Who am I underrating? Let me know down below.